Hello friends, welcome back to WOW IAS. Welcome to the discussion on Vision IAS Mains 365 Internal Security. This is part 5 of the discussion. Hope you have seen the other 4 parts. Now let's quickly begin. But before that, a small information. The document that we are using for the discussion is the Mains 365 Summary Document of Vision. This summary document is prepared by WOW IAS, and to get access to this summary document, do join the Telegram channel. The Telegram channel details are there in the description. Do go and check it. Okay, now let's quickly begin. So the next topic what we have is the Naxal violence. So some few facts about Naxal violence. If you see, more than 8 states and 223 districts are affected by this Naxal violence. In 1967, in the Naxalbari district in the West Bengal, the Naxal movement has started. Government has initiated various projects to overcome this, various security measures. In that, one is the Operation Samadhan, and rest of them we will be seeing them in this lecture itself. And also, the Naxal groups, they are banned under the UAPA, the Unlawful Activities Prevention Act of 1967. So you can see here, these are the states that got affected by the Naxals: Bihar, West Bengal, Jharkhand, Odisha, Chhattisgarh, Telangana, Andhra Pradesh, Karnataka, Maharashtra, and Madhya Pradesh as well. Okay, so these are the states that got affected. And today, because of various security measures by the states, to a certain extent the influence of Naxalites has reduced. We will see the current status and all in the next slide. So recently 22 personals have died in an encounter between the paramilitary forces and the Maoists in the Chhattisgarh Sukma district. The Sukma district is one of the Naxal affected districts in India. So Naxalism is a form of armed insurgency against the state, which is motivated by the leftist or Maoist ideology, also known as the left-wing extremism or Maoism. The Naxal insurgency in India originated in 1967 uprising in the Naxalbari district in the West Bengal. So these group of people believed in the political theory that has its origin in the Chinese political leader Mao Zedong. So the Maoism basically is a different type of communism, you can say. The Naxalites claim to represent most oppressed people in India, often left untouched by India's development and bypass the electoral process. All the hilly regions and the tribal regions, most of them, if you see, they did not get the fruits of the governance. This is one of the major causes for the Naxalites, or you can say for the spread of Naxalism into these interior hilly regions. This problem was majorly prevalent in the eastern part of the country, which is also known as the Red Corridor, and this is spread across the states like Chhattisgarh, Odisha, Jharkhand, Bihar, and Andhra Pradesh. The counter-insurgency operations were done by central government as well as the state. Because basically, if you see, the law and order belongs to the state government. Only in situations where the state is not able to handle, and also for the interstate movement or interstate operations, the central government will use its forces. We have the Central Reserve Police Force, which is mainly used for this purpose. We have a special battalion, the Cobra Battalion, in the Central Reserve Police Force, especially dedicated against these Naxal operations, for these Naxal operations in fact, right? So currently 90 districts in 11 states are still affected by the left-wing extremism. In recent times, the number of left-wing extremist incidents were down by 47% between 2005 and 2020. This is majorly because of the increased security measures, increased developmental measures, and increased governance access to these tribal regions. Chhattisgarh and Jharkhand continue to account more than 70%, about 70% of incidents in Naxal violence in the country. States like Andhra Pradesh, Odisha have done remarkably well to reduce the influence of the Naxals. Now, what are the causes for the left-wing extremism? What are the causes for Naxalism? So basically, if you see, the land is one of the major causes. It is one of the major causes. The land reforms is one of the major thing that has happened after independence, but these land reforms did not proceed according to the need or according to the time. There were a lot of flaws in the land ceiling and the land reforms. Because of these things, because of the alienation and suppression that the landless people have faced, this Naxalism has spread. So evasion of these land ceiling laws by the rich and affluent is one of the major causes. Existence of special land tenures, encroachment of government and community lands by the powerful sections of the society, lack of title to public land cultivated by landless poor implementation of the laws, and non-regularization of traditional land rights. These are the major causes major land-based causes. Next, the governance related factors. Governance related factors, if you see, one of the major thing is the governance has not reached to these sections. That is one of the major causes. Corruption and poor provisions of essential public services includes the primary health, education. All these benefits are not reached. They are not enjoyed by these people. These basic needs, they don't reach these people. The misuse of the power by the politicians is also another thing. The rich and affluent always misuse their power, and this is one of the major reasons the lower sections of the society feels oppressed. So when there is excessive oppression, they try to find a way to overcome this, and the Naxalism has been one of the prominent way to overcome this kind of thing, to overcome this oppression. In 2006, the Forest Right Act was enacted, but forest bureaucracy continued its hostility towards it. This non-implementation of Forest Rights Act, the Forest Right Act initially basically denied all the rights to these forest dwellers who were living in these forest areas from centuries. So this Forest Right Act of 2006, which gave the rights to the forest to these people living in the forest, but because of the improper, or you can say ineffective bureaucracy, these benefits were not enjoyed by these people, right? So these are the governance related factors. Next, displacement and forced evictions due to the new construction of new projects and all these things. Next, also we have the livelihood related causes like the lack of food security, the disruption of traditional occupants, and deprivation of traditional rights and common property resources. Now, what are the important initiatives for the left-wing extremist affected states? There are various initiatives, both from the security point of view as well as from the developmental point of view. The police and public order, they lies in the state, so state has the primary responsibility to tackle the left-wing extremism. So the National Policy and Action Plan, if you see, it was implemented by the Ministry of Home Affairs since 2015. It is a multi-pronged strategy which includes the security, the development, and also ensuring rights and entitlements of the local communities to combat the left-wing extremism. The major sub-schemes under the police modernization was also enacted, because police modernization is another important thing, which is because the areas where these Naxals operate, they are the interior locations. So the police need to have all the modern weapons, because already the Naxals are having those weapons. So the police has to be modernized in terms of the equipment, infrastructure, and also they need to enhance their capabilities, the usage of the digital technology, the usage of next generation technologies. So the modernization of police is another important thing. If you see the Greyhounds of Andhra Pradesh, this Greyhounds is a successful model because the government has spent a lot on the infrastructure development, on the equipment related things for the Greyhounds. Because of this only, the Greyhounds was a successful project for the state of Andhra Pradesh. Next, you have the Civic Action Plan to bridge the gaps between the security forces and local people through personal interaction. Next is the Media Plan Scheme to counter the Maoist propaganda, because countering propaganda is a major thing in these days, especially in this social media days. Because the transfer of information just happens so fast. If we don't counter these kind of propagandas, then the people tend to believe these kind of propagandas, and the people will turn against the state. So the government is also implementing these kind of plans to counter the Maoist propaganda. Next, the infrastructure developmental initiatives like the road plans, the left-wing extremism mobile tower project, and the project's approval under the Universal Service Obligation Fund. This Universal Service Obligation Fund is basically that fund which is collected from the telecom companies. Okay, this is basically to improve the mobile connectivity. The NTRO, the National Technical Research Organization, assists the security forces in the anti-Naxal operations by providing the UAVs, the armed aerial vehicles, right? And also for the development of skill, because education and skill is very much important for the people to get uplifted. In order to get the benefits of the globalization, education and skill are two main important things. So for this only, the government has initiated various reforms, various schemes. For example, the Project Roshini, which is initiated under the Pandit Deen Dayal Upadhyay Gramin Kaushal Yojana, which envisages the training and placement of the poor youth from the affected districts. The ITIs and the skill development centers also have been established in the left-wing extremist affected districts. So these are the important initiatives. And also some other institutional measures were taken, like the Black Panther Combat Force, which is a specialized force in Chhattisgarh on the lines of Greyhounds in Telangana and Andhra Pradesh. The Bastaria Battalion, which is a battalion of CRPF with tribal youth from the 4 highly Naxal infested districts of Chhattisgarh. The separate vertical in the NIA was created for investigating Naxal cases. Multidisciplinary groups to check funding of Naxalites. Constructive engagement of youth through education and other measures so that the youth can get skilled, they don't get diverted. And other measures were taken like the financial inclusion measures through the SAGs, and also all India radio stations and buster broadcast regional programs to increase entertainment options. So these are basically the broad measures. Now another operation, or you can say another program, the Operation Samadhan. Okay, this was basically announced by Prime Minister Modi after he came into power in 2015. Operation Samadhan, if you see, S stands for smart leadership, A for aggressive strategy, M for motivation and training, A for actionable intelligence, D for dashboard based KPI, that is knowledge processing centers, harnessing technology, action plan for each theatre, no access to financing. These are basically the broad themes under which the government is functioning, or you can see the actions, or you can say the measures which are taken in these left-wing extremist affected districts. Now, what are the prevailing issues to handle these LWE? So the prevailing issues is, we see the negligence or not following the standard operating procedures, the SOPs. This is one of the major problems. The security forces are not following this SOPs, and this is creating a major hurdle. Next, the leadership issue of the IPS officers, because generally, if you see, the CRPF is a dedicated force, or the force which is dedicated or which is working in these left-wing extremism districts. But when the IPS is getting deputed to this, there is this mismatch, because the IPS does not have enough experience to lead the CRPF, which is specifically posted in these left-wing extremism districts. The sluggish capacity building of the police forces, the LWs are very well trained in the guerrilla warfare, but not the police. The police are not a match to the Naxals, in fact. And the technology which the Naxal possess today, it is at par, and sometimes it is way above the security, the police forces, in fact. That is the reason the special forces and the special technologies are needed. And also the laundering of funds, this is a major problem. It is still not yet completely stopped. The government is trying to focus on that. And here also we have a case study with regarding to the Greyhounds in Andhra Pradesh. The Greyhounds is the specialized anti-Naxal force which is created in the combined state of Andhra Pradesh way back in 1989. So this was a successful project for Andhra Pradesh, which was then created by the then DGP of Andhra Pradesh, Vyas. So he was so after this creation, the people, or you can say the Greyhounds, the forces, they were given excessive powers, and also they were given proper equipment to tackle the Naxal problem, and they were very successful in eliminating the Naxals to a great extent. In fact, today the state of Andhra Pradesh and Telangana, they enjoy relatively peace because of these operations only. Okay. So by 1999, you can say to a certain extent the Naxal influence has reduced, and by 2011 you can say the Naxal, to a certain extent, they were eliminated. This is the impact that the Greyhounds had on the state of Andhra Pradesh. Okay. And now what is the way forward? The way forward is a two-pronged policy of proactive policing and holistic development in showing results. This includes learning from the best practices like the Greyhounds in Andhra and Chhattisgarh police, etc. Eliminating the root cause of the problems, which leads to alienation of tribals in these areas. So the tribals, basically, they have to be integrated into the society. They should not feel that alienation. This is the major thing. So the governance has to reach to these tribals. And the focus has to be on financial empowerment, educational empowerment, or you can say the inclusion, the inclusive development, what we talk about. That has to be focused. Inclusive development in terms of polity, in terms of economy, in terms of environment, in terms of everything. Next, the cooperative federalism. The state and center should work together in a joint way to overcome these challenges. The leveraging for the use of these new technologies, choking funds for the Naxalites, and the media support for the trust from the people. These are the various way forwards which we can write in the exam. Okay. Now next topic what we have is the over the ground workers. So over the ground workers are basically those workers, or you can say the people who support the terrorist activities. That means they provide all the arms, ammunitions, everything. You can say they provide everything to the terrorists, but they don't participate in the terrorist activity directly. So indirectly they participate in the terrorist activities. They are called the over the ground workers. So recently 3 over the ground workers were arrested by the J&K police for a grenade attack on the CRPF camp. Okay. So J&K police categorize anybody who supports militants as an over the ground worker. So they provide safe houses, passages, information, and also act as messengers for the suspected crimes and culminates them into over the ground workers. So terrorist groups like the Hizbul Mujahideen, the Lashkar-e-Taiba, so all these people have the over the ground workers in Jammu and Kashmir. So they play all these roles like providing safe havens, money laundering. They build false narrative to radicalize the youth. they instigate people to demonstrate at trivial grounds in order to demoralize the security forces. Okay, and also they recruit people. The local recruitment is done by them. They arrange the logistics for the terrorist, and they do all these things. So now, what are the issues in handling the over-the-ground workers? The basic issue is that they are integrated into the society. They are part of the society. So detecting them is a very, very difficult task. That is one of the major problem. Next one is extreme steps can increase militancy. If the security forces take more measures, more steps, then randomly, if the security forces book any person, then what will happen is that this will create a negative opinion against the security forces, which will have an impact in the society, right? And what are the measures to tackle over-the-ground workers? The measures, if you see, basically, the over-the-ground workers, terrorists and anti-national elements, they should be jointly traced through a multi-agency effort. That means the intelligence and security forces should work together to identify them. Youth engagement programs should be widened to address their sense of alienation and trust deficit. Example, youth forums can be connected in states like Jammu and Kashmir and all to sensitize them, to integrate them into the society, in the mainstream society. The long-term de-radicalization and counter-radicalization policy for states like Kashmir. Psychological and rehabilitation support. Launching intelligence-based sting operations. Investigation using technologies like artificial intelligence, and also upgrading the infrastructure, and also making sure, or you can say, making this project, the NatGrid project, a reality very, very soon. Okay, so these are the things. And Indian government, if you see, they have launched various operations like Operation All Out by Indian Army in 2017 to eliminate the militant networks, their over-the-ground workers and top militant commanders. Next one, the Jammu and Kashmir Public Safety Act of 1978. Under this act, the anti-nationals can be booked and the over-the-ground workers can be prevented from disrupting peace. Operation Sadbhavana, which is a humane initiative undertaken by the Indian Army in Jammu and Kashmir to address the aspirations of the people affected by the terrorism. Mission Pahal, launched in 2021 by the army officers to conduct face-to-face interactions with Kashmiri youth to encourage them to express their grievances and reasons that may have mistrust against the Indian state. Education through schemes like Ustad, Udaan and Naya Manzil, schemes like Himayat and Kaushal Vikas Yojana for the training and all, and other even security related steps as well. Okay, so basically these are the things. And guys, before I leave, just a small information. The Vision Mains 365 and Vision Mains Test Series, both of these summaries are available with us at just 1500 rupees only. At just cost of maybe 3 to 4 pizzas. So you can subscribe to this program by joining our Telegram channel. The Telegram channel details are there in the description. You can just download the Telegram and join our channel. Okay, if you have any queries or any issues, do let us know in the comment box. If you need anything else, do let us know. Thank you, and I'll see you again. Jai Hind.